Hello, dear members and friends of Bay United Methodist Church. Thank you for joining me on this midweek meditation. Now, I hope you'll forgive me for getting into the weeds today. I am going to go full-bore nerd on you this time with some scientific stuff. But whether you're into science or not, I think you'll find this fascinating. Roger Bacon, described by some as the first modern scientist, said, "If in other sciences we should arrive at certainty without doubt, and truth without error, it behooves us to place the foundation of knowledge in mathematics." So I'm going to talk to you about the creation today and apply some mathematics to the topic. But no worries, you won't have to use your math skills, just your imagination. You know, we live within a wonderful universe. This universe is the context within which our lives exist. But what we fail to realize is that if this universe was formed in even a slightly different way, life itself would not be able to exist. For instance, consider the atom. There are over 100 elements that support life here on Earth, 40 of which are essential, carbon being just one of them. But for molecules of different kinds to form, electrons from atoms must be free to leave their orbits from one atom and combine with other atoms and thus form the variety of molecules we find in creation. The electromagnetic force is what determines how freely electrons can move from one atom to another. If the electromagnetic force was too strong, electrons would be unable to move from one atom to another and life would be impossible. If the electromagnetic force was too weak, then atoms would be too unstable, and again, life would not be possible. So you see, the electromagnetic force is finely tuned, not too weak, not too strong, and that's what makes life possible. How finely tuned does it need to be? Well, if the electromagnetic force was off by just 1 divided by 10 to the 16th power, life would not be able to exist. And that's a really fine number. Now, I'm not a mathematician, nor am I a physicist. I've discovered this information in a book called Miracles by Eric Metaxas, and I recommend it if you'd like to learn more about what I'm talking about today. So here's another example. Metaxas goes on to describe the fine-tuning needed between the electromagnetic force and the force of gravity. Those two forces determine what kinds of stars we have in the universe. For life to exist, we need a mixture of big stars and small stars. See, big stars are where the complex elements needed for life are created. But smaller stars, like our own, have the stability to burn for billions of years, giving life as we know it time to develop. In our universe, those forces are finely tuned so as to make both large stars and small stars possible. But if the balance of those forces was off by just the tiniest bit, a variety of stars would not be possible, and no life would exist. How tiny is the margin of error? That number is 1 divided by 10 to the 40th power. Now, neither you nor I have the capacity to imagine what 10 to the 40th power means. So Hugh Ross, a Caltech astrophysicist, has taken it upon himself to describe that number for us. This is what 10 to the 40th power means. Imagine covering every square inch of the surface of North America with dimes. Once that is done, put on another layer. Take your time. Now put on another layer, and then another, and one more. Continue this exercise until the dimes reach the height of the moon, 238,000 miles up. That would constitute a rather large number of coins, but we're far from finished. Once you've covered all of North America to the height of the moon with dimes, do exactly the same thing on another billion continents of the same size as North America. If you are unable to locate that many other continents of the same size, simply imagine doing that. Now, randomly, choose one dime in those billion, 238,000 mile high piles, paint it red, and put it back in the pile. Then blindfold a friend, no peeking, and ask him to pick out one of the coins from one of the billion continent-sized 238,000-mile-high piles. The odds of him picking out the red dime are 10 to the 40th power. Feel free to gulp. Metaxas and Ross offer many more examples of how finely tuned this universe is, showing that although we are here, mathematically, we should not be. To say that we exist as a matter of chance is simply unfeasible. Psalm 14 begins, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God." To say that this universe, as finely tuned as it is, happened by chance, takes more faith than you and I will ever have. God's fingerprints are all over his creation, even within your very soul. And if you doubt that, well, do you think you could pick out that red dime? Have a blessed day, dear friends. We'll see you soon.